Hey everyone, this is David Pike, the MotorCity mechanic. Now in today's video, I want to show you some quick tips and tricks for removing O2 sensor. Basically methods that you might not have ever thought of that actually could save you some time. Now what you're getting ready to see in this short video may or may not help some of you. It really depends on what you're going to be doing with the O2 sensor. If you're removing and replacing it, then this video is perfect. If you're going to be removing and reinstalling it, for example, if you replace the catalytic converter or maybe it was in your way of something else you had to remove, maybe not so much. But then again, make sure to still check it out because you may be able to use some of these tips to help you in the future. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Now, if you've ever worked on fuel-injected vehicles, at one point or another, you've removed or replaced an O2 sensor. For those who don't know what one is, this is it right here. You got a sensor that has an electrical connector that comes out the back end. Now remember that because that's really important coming up. We've got the portion of the sensor that actually is exposed inside the exhaust. We've got this hex-headed portion that we use for tightening and loosening the sensor. And then you've got the rest of the body right here. Now what it takes to remove one of these is a different set of special sockets or wrenches. And the reason why is because of that electrical portion that I talked about a moment ago. Typically we would just slide a socket on something that had a hex head or put a wrench. Problem is this metal is not the strongest, and second, the wiring gets in the way. Now the deep socket version of the tool for removing it looks like a normal socket except for this big gap or relief that's machined or forged into the tool when it's made. Now the whole purpose, like I mentioned before, is for that wiring. So we're sliding it over the sensor. It's going to lock onto the hex portion. And we've got an area for the wiring to come out so we can actually loosen it or tighten it down. Now they make other versions of that same basic setup. And this is two of them right here. They're just shorter. They slide over and you've got a place to put your ratchet off to the side, not directly on top. Now each one of these has its pros and cons, and it really has to do with where the sensor is located, how much room you've got to get on there. And there's another version of these tools, and it's basically a wrench. It does the same exact thing. Now the problem with these styles of tools is that relief area that's actually made into them so that the wiring can pass through. Originally when you buy them new out of the box, they work fairly well, but one day you're going to come across an O2 sensor that doesn't want to come out. And what's going to happen is, as you're trying to back it off, the weakness in the tool, which is the big gap, will allow it to slightly expand or actually open up. And when that happens, at that point, it's going to start rounding off the sensor, and it's also going to start causing the tool to be useless. So it's just a matter of time when you come across one of those O2s that won't come off, that this tool will no longer perform like it's supposed to. It really doesn't matter on the name brand, if it's Miller, if it's Mac, or if it's a generic version like this. One day you're going to have a problem. Now this video is about how to remove these O2 sensors without even using these tools. Now before I show you the trick for removing the O2 sensors, I want to show you one of these special tools being used and the problem that we have. This one's a short version. You slide it on, and as you can see, we've got a little bit of play. Not a lot, but we've got some. Again, it's been used a few times. I'm going to put my breaker bar on. I want you to pay attention to the sensor to see if it moves. I'm going to put some pressure on it. And as you can see, the tool is jumping, the sensor is not rotating. So all I'm doing at this point is I'm rounding off the hex. Now what's a method we can use for removing this? Well, let me tell you. Now again, let's think about what we're doing. We're not going to be reusing this. We don't care what it looks like when it's removed. Yes, it's great to have the special tools. As a matter of fact, we'll use the special tool if we can for reinstalling it. But again, this is going in the trash. So why are we worried about this electrical portion? So all we really need is a pair of side dikes. We're going to cut off the wiring. Now by cutting off that wiring, we've got an access for two things. We can either put a deep socket on, or we can use a box and wrench, something that doesn't have a relief cut in there. At that point, we can get all engaged on the hex portion and back it off. Now with the wiring removed, we can go ahead and slide our socket on, which in this case is a 22 millimeter. We'll put our breaker bar on here, and we'll try to break it loose. And there you have it. Now we can actually remove this damaged O2. You can see by looking at it all the damage that that special tool caused to it. Again, we're not reusing this. This is going in the trash. So if you're removing one that's actually going to be reinstalled, again, you're going to have to take care. So I just showed you how to remove it using a deep socket. Well, let's talk about a boxed-in wrench. Now you would think, well, hey, why can't I just slide the connector through the box portion? Unfortunately, the connector's too big on this. So again, same scenario. Grab our side dikes. We're going to cut the wiring off. Now we can grab our box-in portion of the wrench, slide it down on there, and break it loose. So there you've got two different methods. If you can get a wrench on it, great. If you can get a socket, awesome. It all depends on where it's located and what's in the way, because some of these are not easily accessible. Now, as you saw, there really is no rocket science to doing this. You can fight with the special tools, and you know what? You might have no problem. But when you do, I don't want you to get all flustered and start throwing tools across the shop. I want you to stop, take a deep breath, step back for a moment, and reevaluate everything. Remember, we're replacing these sensors. We don't need them. So the easiest method to me is just cut the wires. Let's not even deal with that. It's different when we're going back with them. We've got a fresh sensor. We're just snugging it down and we're getting that torque spec just right. Otherwise, when removing it, there's no need to fight no more than we need to. Get a socket on it if you can, or get a boxed-in wrench. Quick, simple video, right? Hopefully this is something that will help you in the future. If you liked the video, please give it a big thumbs up on YouTube. Don't forget you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you have any comments or suggestions about anything you saw in this video, or if you've got a different method you use for removing O2 sensors like this, leave something in the comments below. Also, if you shop on Amazon, which everybody does, scroll down into the description of the video itself. There is a link. Click on that link, make that your Amazon homepage, and every time you buy something, no matter what it is, it'll help support this channel. Once again, everybody, thanks for watching.